All right, so are you ready to dive deep with us today?
Let's do it.
Okay, perfect. So today we're diving into the world of Tantra.
Sounds good.
Now, I know what you might be thinking when you hear the word Tantra,
Yeah.
maybe some misconceptions. But trust me,
Right.
we're going way beyond that.
Yeah, we're going deeper.
We're going to explore its potential for self-awareness and spiritual growth.
Absolutely. And we've got some really interesting excerpts from Osho's Book of Secrets to help us with that.
Perfect.
We also have some summaries, key quotes, and even some Q and A's.
Amazing. You know, I've always struggled with this idea of self-acceptance.
Okay.
Always trying to be like the perfect version of myself.
Yeah,
But from what I've read so far, Tantra has a very different approach.
it does.
It's all about embracing every part of ourselves,
Yes.
even the messy bits.
Even the messy bits. What's so fascinating about Tantra is this idea that it views everything as interconnected.
Okay.
It's like those opposing forces, light and shadow, joy and sorrow. They're not seen as like separate entities,
Okay.
but rather as two sides of the same coin.
So instead of trying to suppress those like quote unquote negative emotions,
Yeah.
you should actually like lean into them.
Precisely.
That's pretty counterintuitive.
It is. In Tantra, true transformation comes from accepting all aspects of ourselves,
Okay.
including those emotions that we typically try to avoid.
So like even like anger and jealousy and all the things that we think are bad.
Yes, even those.
Okay.
They're all part of the tapestry of our being.
I'm starting to see how this could be incredibly liberating.
It is.
It's like giving ourselves permission to be fully human
Yeah.
with all of our, complexities and contradictions.
Exactly. And this acceptance extends to all areas of life,
Okay.
including sexuality.
Okay, so let's address the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
How does Tantra view sexuality?
Well,
And how does it tie into this idea of spiritual growth?
yeah, Tantra recognizes that powerful energy of sexuality,
Okay.
but it doesn't see it as the end goal. It's more about harnessing that energy
Okay.
and using it as a potential gateway to deeper truths
Okay.
and a sense of interconnectedness with existence.
So it's not just about physical pleasure.
Not at all. Think of it this way.
Okay.
Have you ever felt so engrossed in something, so connected to a moment,
Uh-huh.
that you completely lose track of time?
Yeah.
That feeling of complete absorption, that flow state,
Yeah.
that's tapping into this cosmic energy that Tantra talks about.
Wow. Okay. So it's about using that intense energy and channeling it towards something bigger than ourselves.
Exactly. And this brings us to the concept of the cosmic orgasm,
Okay.
which describes a state of timelessness and egolessness
Okay.
that can be accessed through genuine erotic experiences.
This idea of dissolving the ego,
Yeah.
of transcending our individual selves.
Yes,
It's a bit mind-boggling,
it is.
but also incredibly intriguing.
Yeah, it's a profound concept, but Tantra doesn't just talk about these abstract ideas.
Okay.
It offers practical techniques to experience this transformation firsthand.
So let's get into the nitty-gritty.
Okay?
What are some of the techniques that Tantra offers for self-discovery and spiritual growth?
Well, one key area is breathwork.
Okay.
Tantra places a huge emphasis on becoming aware of our breath,
Okay.
observing those subtle pauses and transitions in the breath cycle.
It sounds so simple, but I imagine it's harder than it seems.
It can be.
I'm always so caught up in my thoughts.
Yeah.
I rarely even notice my breath.
That's the challenge, isn't it?
Yeah.
But by bringing awareness to our breath, we start to create space between our thoughts,
Okay.
allowing us to observe those thoughts
Uh-huh.
without getting carried away by them.
So it's about developing that observer self,
Yeah.
that witness consciousness
Exactly.
that can detach from the constant chatter of the mind.
That's it.
Okay, and are there other techniques?
There are other powerful techniques, like the practice of stopping all activity the moment an impulse arises.
Oh, wow.
It's like hitting the pause button on autopilot.
So instead of just reacting habitually,
Yeah.
you create a space to become aware of your choices.
Precisely. It allows us to discern whether we're acting from a place of true intention
Okay.
or simply reacting to unconscious patterns.
I can see how this could be a game changer in terms of breaking free from those negative habits
Absolutely.
or limiting beliefs.
Another technique is to witness your memories as if they were a film.
Okay.
It helps you detach from the emotional charge of those past experiences
Okay.
and see them from a more objective perspective.
Isn't that similar to a technique used in therapy?
It is. It's amazing how these ancient practices are now being recognized and validated by modern psychology.
So it's not just about ancient wisdom.
No,
It's about practices that are still relevant and applicable to our modern lives.
exactly. And there's also the fascinating concept of redirecting energy to the third eye.
Okay, the third eye. That sounds a bit mystical.
It does.
Can you elaborate on that?
Imagine a point between your eyebrows.
Okay.
In Tantra, this is considered the seat of the third eye.
Yep.
Now, focusing your attention on this point, whether with your eyes open or closed, can help quiet the mental chatter
Okay.
and allow deeper insights to emerge.
So it's like training our awareness to shift from the external world
Yeah.
to our inner world.
Precisely. And Tantra suggests that through this practice, we can start to perceive a subtler world,
Okay.
uncovering truths about ourselves and others that were previously hidden.
It's like we're tapping into a hidden source of wisdom
Yes,
that's always been there, but we just didn't know how to access it.
exactly. And that brings us to another essential element of Tantra,
Okay.
surrender.
Okay, surrender. This is where I get a bit lost.
Okay.
It sounds passive, almost like giving up.
I understand your hesitation.
Yeah.
But in Tantra, surrender isn't about weakness or passivity.
Okay.
It's about recognizing the futility of trying to control everything,
Okay.
of constantly fighting against the natural flow of life.
So it's more about letting go of that tight grip on our expectations.
Yes.
And embracing the unknown.
It's about trusting that there's a greater intelligence at work,
Okay.
even when things don't go according to our plan.
That's a big one for me. I'm a notorious control freak.
Okay.
But I'm starting to see how this idea of surrender could actually be incredibly freeing.
It can be terrifying at first.
Yeah.
Because it involves dissolving the ego, embracing insecurity.
Wow.
But that's where the real growth happens.
It sounds like a paradox.
It is.
Surrendering control to gain a deeper sense of freedom.
Yeah.
I'm definitely feeling my perspective shifting already.
That's the beauty of Tantra.
Yeah.
It challenges us to question our assumptions
Yeah.
and explore new ways of being in the world.
All right. I'm ready to keep unpacking this.
Okay.
What role does the mind play in all of this?
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Tantra has a very insightful perspective on this. Well, Tantra recognizes the mind as a powerful tool,
Okay.
but also as a potential source of suffering.
Hmm.
It's not that the mind is inherently bad,
Right.
but it has this tendency to create illusions, leading us away from our true nature.
So how does that work? How does the mind create these illusions?
Well, think about it. Our minds are constantly bombarded with information.
Right.
Societal conditioning, past experiences.
Yeah.
Tantra suggests that the mind uses all of this to construct a false sense of self,
Yeah.
an ego that we cling to for dear life.
So we're basically walking around with these stories about ourselves, these identities
Yeah.
that we've built up over time.
Yeah.
And those stories might not even be true.
Precisely. And those stories, those limiting beliefs,
Yeah.
can keep us trapped in patterns of suffering.
Wow.
You know, we become attached to our ideas of who we are.
Right.
And we resist anything that challenges those beliefs.
This is making me rethink so much about how I operate in the world.
It is.
It's a bit unsettling,
It can be.
but also incredibly eye-opening.
Yeah, that's the power of Tantra.
Okay.
It encourages us to question everything,
Right.
even our most cherished beliefs about ourselves.
So if the mind is the source of these illusions, how do we break free from them?
This is where meditation comes in.
Okay.
You know, by quieting the mind, creating space between those thoughts,
Right.
we can start to access deeper layers of consciousness, connecting with our true essence.
You know, I've tried meditation before,
Okay.
but I always struggle to quiet my mind.
Yeah.
It feels like my thoughts are just like a runaway train.
Yeah.
Does Tantra offer any specific techniques for meditation?
Absolutely. Tantra offers a wide range of meditation techniques.
Okay.
From breath awareness to mantra repetition to
Yeah.
visualization practices.
Okay.
It's about finding what resonates with you,
Uh-huh.
what helps you cultivate that sense of stillness and inner peace.
Okay, so meditation is key to quieting the mind and accessing those deeper levels of consciousness.
Yes.
But what about relationships? How does Tantra view love and connection?
Yes. Tantra's perspective on love is fascinating.
Okay.
And it might challenge some of your preconceived notions.
I'm all ears, from what I've gathered so far.
Yeah.
Tantra's idea of love is a far cry from the typical romantic ideal.
Precisely. You see, Tantra distinguishes between love and attachment.
Okay.
It encourages a love that transcends expectations.
Okay.
A love that is not possessive or dependent on external validation.
So it's about moving beyond those needy,
Yes.
you complete me kinds of relationships.
Thanks, Dad.
But isn't that setting an unrealistic expectation for love?
Okay.
I mean, we're all human. We all have needs and desires.
That's a valid point.
Yeah.
But Tantra isn't about denying our human needs.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that true love comes from a place of wholeness,
Okay.
not from a place of lack.
So it's about loving ourselves first,
Yes.
accepting ourselves fully,
Exactly.
and then extending that love outwards.
And in fact, Tantra suggests that falling in love with an enlightened person
Oh.
can be quite challenging.
Why is that? Wouldn't it be blissful to be loved by someone who's so spiritually evolved?
It can be,
Yeah.
but it can also be confronting. Because an enlightened individual's love is not bound by those typical desires
Right.
and insecurities.
Yeah.
Their love is unconditional,
Okay.
compassionate, free from any need for reciprocation.
So it's a love that doesn't require anything in return.
Precisely.
That's a pretty radical concept. You know, it makes you wonder if our conventional ideas about romantic love
Yeah.
actually prevent us from experiencing something deeper,
It might
something more authentic.
That's a profound insight. And Tantra invites us to explore those deeper levels of love,
Okay.
to move beyond the limitations of our conditioned minds.
Speaking of challenging assumptions, Tantra also places a lot of emphasis on aloneness,
It does.
which seems a bit counterintuitive
Okay.
when we're talking about love and connection.
Yes, this is often a point of confusion.
Yeah.
But Tantra recognizes that aloneness is essential for self-discovery.
Okay.
It's about confronting your true self without the need for external validation,
Okay.
without relying on others to define you.
You know, I struggle with being alone. I always feel like I need to be around people,
Okay.
to be doing something to avoid that feeling of emptiness.
Right.
How does Tantra address that fear of aloneness?
It starts with understanding that aloneness and loneliness are not the same thing.
Okay.
Loneliness is a feeling of emptiness, of lack of separation.
Right.
But aloneness is simply a state of being present with yourself, with your thoughts, with your emotions.
So it's about getting comfortable with our own company,
Yes.
with those quiet moments of introspection.
Exactly, because when you're constantly seeking approval or validation from others,
Right.
you can lose touch with who you really are.
Yeah.
You become dependent on external sources for your sense of worth.
It's like we're outsourcing our happiness, our sense of self to other people.
Yeah,
No wonder so many of us feel lost and unfulfilled.
that's a powerful realization. And Tantra offers a path to reclaim that inner authority,
Okay.
to connect with that inherent wholeness that exists within each of us.
Okay, this is all starting to click into place. You know, Tantra is about acceptance,
Yes.
surrender,
Yeah.
transcending the limitations of the mind, and embracing aloneness as a path to self-discovery.
You've captured the essence beautifully.
Wow.
It's a holistic approach to life.
Yeah.
Embracing every aspect of our human experience
Right.
as a potential pathway to spiritual growth.
And that includes embracing those aspects that we typically shy away from,
Yes,
like our sexuality, our shadow side, our fear of being alone.
precisely. Tantra invites us to bring light to those dark corners,
Yeah.
to integrate all parts of ourselves into a unified whole.
This is truly mind-expanding stuff. I'm already feeling a shift in my perspective.
That's great to hear.
A sense of possibility that I haven't felt before.
That's the beauty of Tantra.
Yeah.
It challenges us to break free from those limiting beliefs, to expand our awareness,
Right.
and to step into our full potential.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground here,
We have.
but I'm eager to keep exploring. What else can you tell us about how Tantra uses sound and silence as tools for transformation?
Ah, yes. This is where Tantra gets really mystical and experiential.
Yeah.
It does get a bit mystical, when we talk about sound and silence in Tantra.
Okay, so how does Tantra use these elements for transformation?
Well, Tantra goes beyond simply seeking a quiet space to meditate.
Oh, okay.
It suggests that sound itself can be a powerful pathway to reconnect with our essence.
So it's not just about finding silence. It's
Yeah.
about actively engaging with sound.
Yes.
That's fascinating.
It could be as simple as consciously listening to the world around you.
Okay.
The rustling leaves the chirping birds, the hum of the city,
Mm-hmm.
with full awareness.
Right.
It's about tuning into the symphony of life that's constantly playing around us.
I love that it's like finding the sacred in the everyday,
Yeah,
experiencing the extraordinary within the ordinary.
precisely. And on the other end of the spectrum, there's the profound silence that exists beneath all the noise.
Right.
Tantra encourages us to explore that inner silence,
Right.
to connect with that stillness within ourselves.
I can see how both sound and silence can be incredibly powerful tools for self-discovery.
They are.
It's like they offer two different pathways to the same destination. a
Yes,
deeper connection with ourselves and the universe.
exactly. And there's one more element I want to mention,
Okay.
the use of chaotic music in meditation.
Oh, yeah, I read about that and it really piqued my curiosity.
Okay.
It's not exactly what I picture when I think of meditation music.
It's definitely not your typical calming melodies.
Right.
It's about using intense, sometimes jarring music as a cathartic tool for emotional release.
Oh, wow.
I actually tried this type of meditation once, and let's just say it was quite an experience. I felt like all my pent-up emotions were being shaken loose.
Wow.
Like I was purging myself of all that stagnant energy.
That sounds intense.
It was.
It's like using sound to break down those old patterns and create space for something new to emerge.
Exactly. It can be a powerful way to confront those shadow aspects of ourselves that we often try to suppress.
Yeah. You know, this whole conversation has been so illuminating.
Okay.
It's really shifting my perspective on spirituality.
Okay.
I'm starting to see how Tantra weaves together so many different elements.
Yeah.
Acceptance, surrender, the mind, sexuality, sound, silence, into this holistic approach to life.
It is. It's about recognizing that every aspect of our human experience, from the mundane to the mystical,
Right.
can be a doorway to spiritual growth.
It's like Tantra invites us to become alchemists of our own lives,
Yes.
transforming those base metals of fear, doubt, and limitation
Yeah,
into the gold of self-awareness, love, and freedom.
that's a beautiful analogy. And speaking of transformation, I want to touch on a concept that Osho talks about.
Oh.
System makers and system destroyers.
Okay, this sounds intriguing. I'm ready to have my system shaken up a bit.
Well, it's not about literal system,
Okay.
but rather approaches to spirituality.
Okay.
System makers are those who establish structured paths and frameworks for spiritual growth. Think of organized religions with their doctrines, rituals, and hierarchies.
Yeah.
They provide a sense of order, security, and a clear roadmap to enlightenment.
So they're like the architects of the spiritual world,
Exactly.
creating a blueprint for others to follow.
Yes. And then we have the system destroyers.
Okay.
These are the individuals who question those established systems,
Okay.
who encourage independent thinking and direct experience over dogma.
Right.
They might point out the limitations of rigid structures
Okay.
and invite us to find our own unique paths.
So they're like the rebels, the iconoclasts, the
Yeah.
ones who challenge the status quo
Yeah.
and encourage us to think outside the box.
Precisely, think of spiritual teachers like Buddha or Jesus.
Right.
They came to challenge the existing religious systems of their time
Yeah.
and to offer a new way of seeing the world.
It's like this classic dance between tradition and innovation,
Yes.
but playing out in the realm of spirituality.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is that Tantra recognizes the value of both approaches. It's not about choosing one side over the other,
Right.
but about finding a balance between structure and freedom,
Okay.
guidance and exploration.
So it's not about blindly following a set path,
Right.
but also about not getting lost in the chaos of limitless possibilities.
That's the key. Finding that sweet spot where we can benefit from the wisdom of those who came before us
Right.
while also trusting our own inner guidance.
So for a listener who might be feeling a bit lost in this vast world of spirituality,
Yeah,
what's the key takeaway here?
I would say explore different approaches.
Okay.
Experiment with various techniques,
Mm-hmm.
but don't get too attached to any one system or dogma.
Right.
Ultimately, the path to enlightenment is a personal one.
Okay.
It's about listening to your heart, trusting your intuition, and finding what truly resonates with your soul.
It's about remembering that we are each our own gurus,
Yes.
that we hold the keys to our own awakening.
Exactly. A teacher can guide you, point you in the right direction.
Right.
But the real transformation happens within you are the alchemist. You are the artist. You are the architect of your own spiritual journey.
That's a powerful reminder. It's so easy to fall into the trap of thinking that someone else holds the answers,
It is.
that we need to be saved or rescued.
But Tantra empowers us to reclaim our own power, to recognize that we have the capacity to heal ourselves, to transform ourselves, to create the life we truly desire.
And isn't that what this whole deep dive has been about?
It is.
Expanding our awareness, challenging our assumptions, and ultimately empowering ourselves to live more authentically.
Precisely. It's been a journey of exploration, and I hope our listeners found it valuable.
I know. This has been such a rich and insightful conversation.
Great.
I feel like I've gained a whole new understanding of Tantra and its potential for personal transformation.
I'm so glad to hear that. And I want to leave our listener with one final thought.
Okay.
remember that you are not alone on this journey.
Okay.
There's a whole community of seekers out there.
Yeah.
People who are also exploring these deeper dimensions of life.
That's a beautiful sentiment. It's easy to feel isolated, especially when you're questioning those deeply held beliefs
It is.
and venturing into uncharted territory.
But Tantra reminds us that we are all interconnected,
Yeah.
part of a larger web of consciousness.
Right.
And within that interconnectedness, there's an incredible sense of support and belonging.
So to our listener, if you're feeling inspired to explore Tantra further, don't be afraid to reach out to connect with others who are on a similar path.
Yes.
Share your experiences, support each other, and celebrate the journey of self-discovery.
And remember, you are already whole, you are already connected, and you are already loved.
Wow.
Trust the journey, embrace the unknown, and allow the wisdom of Tantra to guide you to your fullest potential.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Tantra. We hope you've gained some valuable insight